Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful. It's such a beautiful, amazing song as we are going to study amazing lesson today. Um, it's a beautiful song worshiping our Lord. Didn't want heaven without so Jesus, you brought. Shalom, my brothers. Shalom, my sisters. Shalom, everywhere who is out there. Now, today, I want to share a very important message with you. We are going to study because we are in the journey of studying the Word of God, the Word of Adonai Yahweh, basing on the real roots, basing on the Hebraic roots, basing on the real roots which the Bible was written. Now, today, as we are still discussing Genesis 6, there is something which I want to share with you so that we understand it very well. So, in Genesis 6, we will find something called well. Well, today I want to talk about the aspect or the action called well. Will is comprised of three letters: W I double L. Well. So now a question comes in. What is well? What is well? Will is the action in our bodies, in our hearts, which helps us to make moral choices. Will is the aspect or is the action in our hearts, in our bodies, which helps us to make moral choices. What is the use of the will? The use of the will, one of the use of the will is to make moral choices. This it means that if you don't have will, you will not be able to make moral choices. So, will, Adonai at the day of creation created us with will. He created us with will. Will in our bodies, in our day-to-day life, it's actually directed by what we call the spirit. When Adonai Yahweh created us, He created us with spirit. That spirit is the one which directs the will in order to make moral choices. Will is not the same as preferences. Will is not that thing in your body, in your life, in your heart, which decides what to eat, what to take. Will is not that thing which says that I prefer eating food than taking juice. That's not well. In order for a person, for any other person to make a choice, he or she must have a will. When you have a will, then you will be able to make a moral, a moral choice. Will is directed by what we call the spirit. So, what calls us to love God? A question comes. We are seeing very many people loving God. Today, in our era, in our dispensation, in our times, we are seeing very many people loving God. But what is that thing which which calls me to have that too much love towards my Father, towards Yahweh, towards Hashem, towards um, uh, towards Elohim, towards God? What is that thing which makes me to have that too much love towards my God? That thing is called will. It's called a will. Will make you to love God. Will make you to love God, because when you have will, you are going to make a moral choice. You are going to make a choice to choose to love God or to choose not to love God. That aspect which helps someone to love God or to love to not to love God is called the well. So when you see someone having too much love towards our Father, just know that that is his or that is the will which helps him or her to love, mm, to love God. So, did man had an inclination? I'm answering these questions. The question comes: did man had an inclination to do good? Did man had an inclination to do good? So, I will take you back to the days of creation when when Yahweh was creating the first people on the earth, Adam and Eve. So, I will take you back to those people. Look at them. When Adonai was creating a person or a human being, he created what we call two types of inclination: the evil inclination and the good inclination. He both put all of those two in human being life, and the use of these two inclination is to help someone to decide what to guide someone to make a will in order to make a moral a moral a moral choice. So at the day of creation, Adam and Eve both were given full will, and they had to make choices, they had to make choices fitting fitting in one of those inclination, either the good inclination or the bad inclination. So what they did, they just choose to make according to their will, which was given to them by Adonai Yahweh. They just chose to follow to make a to they just chose to make a will, which ended in making a choice fitting in bad inclination. So man from the first until now, he or she has two types of inclination: the bad inclination, which helps him, which make him to make bad things, or the good inclination, which helps him to make a will to guide him or her to make a moral choice. So Adam and Eve, they had two of those inclinations. Can you have a choice without a will? A question. Can you have a choice without a will? No. Because I've told you that will is the action or is the aspect which gives you knowledge to know that there are choices to be made. So you will not. When there is no choice, it means there is no will. There is no will. So without choice, will is void and null. You cannot have a choice without a will. Will is someone cannot know what to eat or who to follow when he doesn't have a will. You first need to be with the will, then you make a moral choice to know to know to know what to do, what to make, something of the kind. Mm. Another question is, when were there law were there laws, choices, rules in Adam times? So someone is asking, in Adam and Eva's times, were there laws or rules to obey, to follow, to actually to obey, to follow, to be followed, something of the kind? In Adam's time, when Yahweh, Adonai of Israel, created Adam and Eve, there were no laws to be followed in those times, in their times. There were no rules, and If there were no rules and laws to be followed, it means even there were no choices to be made. Things were as they were, everything was there, he just created them. They putting them in the world, in the earth, with no laws, with no rules, with no anything. The only command which they were given, was just one command. What was that? Not to eat on the tree of knowledge. That was the only command which Adonai Yahweh gave them. Apart from that, there were no rules, there were no no laws, no rules, no anything. This means that they even had no idea of a sin, because they had no knowledge about how a sin looks like, how how to make a sin, how to commit a sin, how actually they had no knowledge. Their knowledge was zero about the sin, because it wasn't there by that time. It wasn't there. So they had no knowledge about the sin. They had no knowledge about how to disobey God, how to do things against God. They had no, because the world was like that. That is the way how Adonai Yahweh had created the world. Nothing. They just needed just to do one thing. What was that? To stand on their will and make a moral choice, not to eat on the tree, as Adonai Yahweh had commanded them from the start. That is the only will they had to make. It is the only will they had to follow in order to make a moral choice not to eat on that tree. So there were no laws, no rules. So they did not have idea of how a sin looks like. Did Adam and Eve, another question, did Adam and Eve had any concept of morality or any idea about good and evil? No, no. Adam and Eve, from day one, from the start, I told you that Adonai Yahweh created the man with two types of inclination. The one is evil inclination, and the two is a good inclination. These inclinations helps someone to make a either to make a choice, a moral choice to follow God, or to serve, to do everything which God desires, or either to make a choice not to obey God, to do things which Adonai Yahweh hates. So, from the start, Adonai Yahweh created man with two types of inclinations. So, they did not have any idea about how a sin looks like, how something of that. So, and in the so doing, when Adam and Eve disobeyed Yahweh, disobeyed God, actually they didn't do this intentionally. They didn't disobey Adonai Yahweh intentionally. They did had they did not say that let us disobey God. Let us eat on the tree of knowledge, of knowing. No, they did not know what will be the repercussions after eating on that tree. Actually, I'm very sure that if they had known what will come from eating on that tree, they wouldn't have eaten on that tree. I'm sure of that. But because they did not know, they did not have any idea about how a sin looks like, what makes a sin to appear, so they ended up following the advice of the serpent and stand on their bad inclination, not on their good inclination. Because if they stood on their good inclination, which were Adonai Yahweh created in them, they wouldn't have eaten on that tree. But because they stood on their bad inclination, so they ended up following the guidelines and the advice from the serpent and to eat on that tree. So as I'm winding up, I want to answer these questions. Um, Another question says, did Adam and Eve had intention to disobey God? No, they did not. Why? Because they did not have any idea of how a sin looks like, and they did not know what will be the repercussions after eating of that tree. So they did not do this intentionally, but they decided to follow their bad inclination, which was created in them to follow. Actually, it was like testing. They were not sure. They were not sure that when they eat on that tree, things will mix up and a thing called a sin will appear. They did not know about that. That is when as the moment um, they eat on that tree, a thing called sin will appear. The last question is: can sin be there without choice? Sin cannot be there without a choice. Because I've told you that we have will inside our hearts, and will helps us to make a moral choice. Will helps someone to make a choice to follow God or not to follow God. Will helps us to make choice either to follow our side of bad inclination, or yetiza hara, or to follow our side of good inclination, yetiza hatov. So it's the will which helps us to make the choice to follow God or to disobey. So without choice, sin cannot be there. Because after having the will, someone will make a moral choice to do a sin, or to sin, to walk against God, So without choice, there is no sin, and without choice, there will not be will. First of all, you should be with the will to help you to make moral choice, and then after that, when you follow your good inclination, yetiza hatov, then you will make a moral choice which pleases God. So thank you very much for that lesson. We will be continuing to study the other lessons soon, as God wishes. Shalom, brothers. Shalom, sisters.